DivaSpeaks podcast is the premier relationship podcast that explicitly deals with relationship matters from a woman's point of view. No subject is off limits. Relationship challenges, sex, intimacy, dating, infidelity, finances, heartbreak, and situationships are all a part of the discussion. Your relationship matters.
Welcome to DivaSpeaks Relationships Talk Show. It's Friday night. Are you ready for some great conversation? Okay then, let's get started. Hello and welcome to DivaSpeaks Relationships Talk Show. I am your hostess, AnGala Portorreal, and I want to thank you for tuning in to tonight's episode of DivaSpeaks Relationships. Welcome. You've actually just tuned in to the hottest, grown and sexy relationship conversation piece out of Charlotte, North Carolina. And I'm super excited to have you guys here with me tonight. You can also remember to share the broadcast with a friend. You know, tell them about DivaSpeaks Relationships. The show airs every second and fourth Friday night at 11 p.m. 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, that is. And if by chance your schedule gets busy or you forget, no worries. You can always go to the station's website and click the video on demand feature and catch up with the episodes that you have missed. So far, this is episode number 3. I'm so super excited. Thank you, Jesus. I'm here. Yes. So this is episode number 3 of DivaSpeaks Relationship Talk Show. And again, welcome to the show. As you can see, I am filming from home again. And you know what? It's kind of growing on me, guys. Due to restrictions of COVID and everything going on, it's kind of difficult to actually film the show and assemble a crew at the station. But you know what? I don't mind inviting you into my home. So welcome to my home, at least the living room, a snippet of it. Welcome to the Divas Den. Thank you for tuning in and stopping by. So you're probably like, okay, so Diva, what you going to be talking about tonight? Well, I did a little teaser last night on my podcast show. So yeah, let me throw that out there. If you didn't know, Diva has a podcast show. It is DivaSpeaks Relationships Podcast. Yes. So last night's show, I am going to be talking to my television audience about. And the title of that show, as well as tonight's show, is Why Should I Take You Back? Yes. Why should I take you back? Now, listen. It is a brand new year, right? This is the beginning of a new year. We have a new administration in office, which has basically changed, or they're attempting to bring about change in the way that we interact with one another in this country. So a lot of us have a renewed spirit, and new beginnings are on the horizon. And there are some of you out there who may be thinking about reconnecting with someone who you recently, broke up with. And you may be asking yourself, as well as them, why should I take you back? You remember, guys, years ago, Luther Vandross, he had a song that kind of addressed that. Give me the reason to want you back. Something like that. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Why should I take you back? And I'm just going to go ahead and let you know that during the discussions tonight, I'm going to be posing questions to you that are going to make you think. And you will see me look down at my notes. I love to tell you that because on my podcast, you can't see that I am, looking over my notes and going back and forth with my outline to make sure that I am presenting the points in chronological order. But you can see me here. Yes, you see me. But I'm going to be asking you the questions I feel that need to be asked, either of yourself and or your partner, who you want to, or you're considering rekindling your relationship with. So the first thing that you have to or need to think about when getting that old thing back. And by the way, I did a similar discussion on my podcast show about a year ago. And the title of that show is So They Want That Old Thing Back. And if you have not listened to that particular episode, you know what? That could be a bonus for you after the show tonight. Make sure that you go and listen to that particular episode. That was over a year ago. That was pre-pandemic DivaSpeaks relationships. But guys, what you need to do is ask yourself, what is the reason that you want to go back? And there are going to be a series of questions that I'm going to be going through tonight that's going to help you figure out and discover what you need to in order to make an informed decision about where you want to go with this thing, right? And some of the questions are not going to be pretty. Some of them are not going to be easy, but we must ask the questions. If you never ask the questions, even of yourself, to get honest with yourself, how can you say that you're being real and being true to yourself if you're not asking the question and then thinking about the answer? So the first question is, are you hoping for a successful second time around? Are you? Are you hoping that if you give this person another chance, if you give the relationship another try, will the relationship be successful this time around? And if that is your goal, will that be the goal of the person that you are re-entering into the relationship with? Are the both of you on the same page with wanting a successful relationship this time around? First things first, because you don't want to end up where you already are, which is not together. You're not together. And whatever has brought you now to this place of reconsidering, rekindling the relationship, you definitely want to be far more successful than you were the first time. Am I right? So that's the first question. You know, another one is kind of hard because you don't want to feel like you're at the end of your rope, but are you truly miserable apart? Are you miserable apart? Because if the two of you are miserable apart, since everything has fallen by the wayside, since the two of you decided to call it quits, you may be on to something. That could be a good thing. That actually can be a wonderful thing, because if happiness existed with the two of you together and the safety of the relationship that the two of you once had, and now that you two are no longer together, both of you are miserable apart, I would definitely co-sign and dare say that maybe this thing is worth revisiting. But the next question is, the issues that drove the two of you apart, whatever led to the break, what was the straw that broke the camel's back? So that's where we are now. Are your issues fixable? And see, to this question, I want to quote one of the poets, the great poets of all times: "To thine own self be true." You got to get honest with yourself, and you have to be. You got to get honest with yourself and think about this. I mean, the issues that drove you apart, can they be fixed? Are you willing to work at them to fix them? But the first things first, are they even fixable? Because if they're not fixable, if this is something that you think that you can just sweep under the rug, or you can just conveniently not talk about it, not discuss it, and the both of you will just never speak on it again, that's not fixing the issue. No resolution will be made. And guess what? eventually you'll find yourself back at that point and possibly another breakup. So the issues must be fixable if you're going to go back into the relationship and make it successful the second time around. But the question is, going back to the topic is, why should I take you back? One of the reasons that they should be giving you is because they are willing to fix or work on the issues that drove you apart. Yeah. They need to be willing to work on this with you. They need to be committed to the process of getting things back in order in the relationship and getting to a healthy place where you're able to discuss issues or problems as they come about without it leading to the two of you breaking up. Breaking up now is something that has happened. That's what I'm trying to say. You've broken up, right? So now that you've set the precedent for that in the relationship, you do not want that to be your go-to place and leading up to that point again. When you can't fix something, you're breaking up. Or if there's a problem, we're breaking up. You've opened that door. Now you need to come back together and make sure that door is closed, that that's not going to be your escape route. I don't want to fix it, so we're just going to break up. Well, yeah, I guess right, if they don't want to fix it. But if you can't fix it right then and there, then we're going to break up. So that's definitely something that needs to be discussed. Are the issues that I'm having with the person that I love, that I want to get back together with, are these issues fixable? And is this person truly, authentically committed to fixing these issues so that we can come back together stronger and we can have a successful, happy, thriving, godly relationship this time around? And even if it was that before, prior to the breakup, how can we improve upon that and make it better this time around? Because I always say the biggest room in the world is the room for improvement. And even if you were great before, you can be better this time around. You can be unstoppable this time around. But whatever led you to the breakup, you got to get back in it with the mindset, the determination, and you got to get it in your spirit that we're going to fix this thing. It may not work itself out overnight because whatever problems we had, they didn't just sprout up overnight. It probably took some time to manifest and get to where you got to that led you to breaking up. So just understand, going back in, listen, it may not happen right away. So, but let's really get serious, guys. So you're thinking about, or you're posing the question, why should I take you back? Tell me why I should take you back. That's probably what you're saying. After all that has happened, now you want to come back? I don't know. I'm just talking this thing out with you, right? Now you want to come back after you left, or after we decided that we were no longer going to be together. Now you want to come back. Why do you want to come back? Why now? What has changed? But let me slow my roll. What I need you to consider before taking this person back, or if you're the person that left and want to come back, what I need you to consider, but I'm more so speaking to the person who is considering taking the other person back, which to me is an indication that the other person that left was the one that was committed the offense. I need you to really sit down and think about how they left. I need you to really think about how they left, because that's important. How they left and why did they leave? Now, if they left you because it was an amicable split, because the two of you were just at your wits' end, I'm tired of this, we need a break. What is to be said about that? You both agreed on that. There's no discussion to be had other than whatever led you to getting to that point, you need to go back there and work your way backwards and fix it. But if this person that you're considering taking back into your life, taking back into a relationship, inviting them back into your bed, I need you to really think about why they left and how did they leave. Did they leave you high and dry? Was it abrupt? Was it out of nowhere? I need you to think about that. I'm not passing judgment on the hows or the why. I'm just presenting you with the information. How they left is important because if they did it to you one time, it is extremely possible that they could venture down that path and do it to you again. Why did they leave? Again, I'm not addressing the breakups that were amicable. I'm not talking about those relationships. I'm talking about the one that have left you broken in despair, in heartbreak, and you've been grieving, you've been miserable because of the emotional state that they left you in and they put you in. But now you're considering taking them back. I'm talking about that. How did they leave you? Did it seem like it was out of left field? Did it seem like one day you were fine and then the next day you weren't and then all of a sudden they were gone? I need you to consider that. And I tell you this, they need to be damn sure they can answer you when they are posed with a question, why should I take you back? Because let's look at how you left. Let's look at why you left. And let me just put this out there in the atmosphere because I cannot have the conversation without entertaining the possibility, what if they left you for someone else? Are you really, tongue twister, are you really willing to consider taking them back without them proving to you what needs to be proven to you? That you are who they really are, if that is the case. They need to be really able to look you dead in your face and tell you why they should be afforded the opportunity to come back into your life and to be in a relationship with you. And they should be ready to back up what they're telling you by their actions, with their actions, no less. Don't you settle for less if you're considering taking them back, especially if something egregious as that has happened to you. If that has happened to you. But going back to the main point that I really want you to focus on is consider how they left. Consider how the both of you left things. Was it nasty? Was it nasty and everybody talking smack and it was just very tacky? Was it tacky? You need to address it. You need to address it. Those type of things need to be addressed before the two of you think about getting back together. Don't even think about getting back with them until you've addressed how and why they left. If the split was not amicable. If the two of you didn't sit down and agree, or maybe you were on the phone and yelling at each other and say, it's over. That's okay. That's your business. I'm talking about a one-sided walk away, I'm leaving you type deal. Before you take that person that walked out on you back, you need to really have them talk to you and explain to you why you should take them back. What is the reason that would be good enough to qualify them now to come back into your life after the way that they left you and how they left you. So, moving on. I need you, the both of you, I need you to realize or find, if there's any, the value of your relationship. That is so important because you see, my friends, if you've analyzed the relationship, right? If you've really sat down and thought about the relationship, if your relationship holds value, if there is good stuff in that relationship, I need you to be able to realize the value that the relationship holds. Because sometimes there are times when a separation can help you reshift your focus back to things that are important to you, which is the relationship that we're now talking about. So I need the two of you to sit down and have that conversation. What value does this relationship hold? And on top of that, how committed are you to this relationship if we give this thing another try? Are you 100% committed and invested into this relationship and making it successful with reasonable efforts being put forth? Reasonable efforts. Are you committed to the process? Are you invested in this relationship? Can you be committed to the relationship? And now, if you find value, if you can agree that there is good stuff here between us in this relationship, because love is obviously here. We're having the conversation. We're talking about getting back together. There's something there. There's some good stuff there. But you need more than good stuff to come back together. You need more than that. You need a meeting of the minds. You need to have an understanding. The two of you must be on the same page. You can't be over here on this page and they're over there on that page. No, the two of you need to be on the same page. And that may require a series of conversations in order to establish the connection needed to move forth and solidify this thing so that the two of you are on the same page. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But again, the point I'm trying and I need to reemphasize, okay, is have you realized the value of your relationship? Have you given it a value mark? And if so, the two of you need to agree that there's value there. You value the relationship as well. And the two of you are committed to enhancing the value in the relationship, to make it more valuable to the both of you, right? All right, so let's keep it pushing. Okay, so the next question that you need to ask, oh, it's getting a little warm in here. Are the issues, now this is going back to how I started the discussion. Are the issues that drove the two of you apart, whatever the explosive issue was that drove the two of you apart, have those issues been resolved? Some of them? One of them. Okay, listen. The two of you need to work out these problems before you just go all back willy-nilly. Listen, you've been lonely. You've been missing that person. You've been without them. You miss their company. You miss their touch. You miss their presence. You miss them being active in your life. All of that's good. However, you're going to end up right back where you are right now if whatever it was that made you two split, if you don't fix it, it's going to resurface and it could potentially drive you two apart indefinitely. So, again, have you worked out those differences? Now, you have to also factor in, maybe it was an issue with a person. Maybe one or the both of you had some individual flaws that needed to be worked out before you can successfully come back together. And that is serious. Have you worked on yourself? Whatever baggage you was bringing to the relationship, whatever baggage you was throwing on the table, whatever baggage that you were conveniently not attending to during the tenure of your relationship, have you worked on it? Are you working on it? Are you making successful strides in the right direction so that when the two of you do come back together, that this is no longer an issue as far as what you're doing? And the same thing goes for them. Have they worked out their issue? Have they been working on it before they just come back up into your life and just wreak all this havoc back and you just kicking up dust again? Have they started working on themselves in order to be a better person in the relationship? Are they working to be a better version of themselves this time around? Well, are they? And is it progress that you can monitor and or that you can see? This is very important. Can you trace the progress? Is it something that you can say, I can look at this and I can see a difference? Or even if you can't see it now, the conversation still has to be had. This is what I'm going to be looking for. This is what I'm going to be looking at, because I want to see us succeed. I want the relationship to not fall apart again. I love you and I want us to be together. I'm going to be making sure that we're not intentionally or unintentionally repeating the mistakes and the steps that got us to the breakup in the first place. So no, I'm not nitpicking, but I am monitoring because I'm cognizant of what drove us apart. That's what mature adults do. Understanding that we got problems that need to be fixed. And even though we can't snap our fingers and make those problems go away, we still have to do our due diligence in making sure that we are committed to the process of improvement, right? Okay, so moving on. I just feel it's important, and in my outline I did stress that you really need to get to the bottom of why they want to come back. If you're considering taking someone back who has, exited the home, or, you two have broken up, you really need to get to the bottom of why they want to come back. Now, you have your reasons as to why you want them back, but you need to examine their motives for wanting to come back into the relationship, for wanting to come back into your life. And that is only for you to figure out, to make your own decision, and to move forward or not with it. But you need to really figure out and get to the bottom of why they want to come back. Did they have plans that they had made that wasn't successful, and that's the only reason they don't want to stay gone? Now they want to come back because what they thought was going to happen didn't happen. So now you're the safety net. Do you really want to be the safety net? Or are they coming back because they are truly in love with you? They truly miss you. They really want to be with you. They can see the error of their ways. They understand they could have done a lot of things different as you as well. And now they're just ready to, roll up their sleeves and put in the work and make it work. There's a difference. And you owe it to yourself to know the reason why, to understand the reason why, to be given the reasons, truthful reasons as to the reasons why they want to come back. Okay? So I wrote in my outline about this time around, because I got a feeling you're going to take them back. So when you reconnect with this person, or however things are going to unfold, I need you and the both of you to understand that you're going to have to be making some adjustments on both parts. It can't just be one-sided. Compromises are going to have to be made, and dare I say, perhaps some sacrifices, depending on the reason for the breakup. And depending what the two of you have assessed your needs to be this time around. Maybe you have discovered that this time around, I'm going to need this from you, which would require you to sacrifice in this area. You never know, but only you can be intentional with being vocal about what you're going to need this time around, so that they can get a different version of you. They can get a better result, and the two of you don't ever have to revisit this breakup again. But definitely just be open to the fact that you may absolutely be making adjustments. You may have to compromise on a couple of things, a few things. One thing, I don't know, I'm not there. But compromises, adjustments, and sacrifice definitely may be a part of the equation. And don't let that scare you. Anything you love may require a sacrifice or two from time to time. Now, there's nothing wrong with making an adjustment here or there for the person that you are in love with.
Remember, especially if you have listen, if you've been apart, listen, you've been missing them, you've been crying and just boo-hooing and just been sad, or maybe you haven't. Maybe you just haven't felt like yourself. Maybe you've realized that your better half is not with you any longer, and you just want to feel whole again, because you're understanding that you're better with them versus without them. Listen, you got to do what you got to do. You got to make those adjustments and some changes, and that is absolutely okay. It is okay. It is perfectly fine. It is normal. Do not feel bad about it, okay? I want you to just be aware of what could happen and the changes and so on and so forth that may have to happen in order for the two of you to be successful this time around when you reunite, when you take them back, or when they decide that, you know what, it's worth it to me to make the changes so that I can go back or come back. So be intentional with your new beginning. Yes, I need you to let that sink in for a second. I need you to pull this a little bit closer. I need you to really get sold on the idea, let it sink and marinate in your spirit that you need to be intentional when you go back into your relationship. You need to have a plan. You need to have a plan on what you're not going to do, things that you must do, things that you need to avoid, things that you need to avoid. If people, places, or things contributed to the breakup, then you definitely need to avoid those people, places, and things in order to avoid another breakup. Facts. And I will say this, if the only plan that you have right now, because you may be saying, Diva, I don't have a plan. All I know is I love this person. I want to be back with this person. It is important to me to have this person in my life. I don't have a plan like that, Diva. Well, I tell you what, calm down first. But let me encourage you with this. If the only plan you can develop at this time, in this moment, as you hear me, if the only plan that you have or you can come up with or create is, I only have a plan of not to fail, that's a plan. Hear me again. If the only plan that you have right now is a plan on not to fail, or a plan to be successful this time around in the relationship, you, my friend, have a plan. And that is a very good plan. And it just takes one step. You made the first step. You know what? The next step will come to you and through you. Because everything that you need to make the relationship a successful one this time, you have within you. And even if you don't, you should have a God that you serve that will not only pour into your spirit, but he will allow the resources to become a part of your environment or your path so that you can get the tools that you need in order to have the things that you need to make the relationship successful. Do you understand where I'm going with that? Right? So don't worry about not physically having a to-do list that is your plan on how to make your relationship successful. If the only thing that you have is a plan not to fail, if the only plan that you have is a plan not to do a repeat of the mistake that led you to the breakup, you have a plan already and you have taken the first step. I am so proud of you. Do you understand that? Look at that. You've already got a plan. Your plan is not to fail. Your plan is to be successful this time around when the two of you connect. So I just want to commend you on that, but be intentional when you go back in. Be intentional with having a new beginning, a fresh start. Wipe the slate clean, if at all possible. Wipe the slate clean. Have a new beginning. Have a fresh start. Be intentional with everything that you do this time around, because When you took everything for granted the last time, look where it got you. And that is not what you want to do this time around. Again, be intentional with your plan on succeeding. So let's see here. We've talked about being intentional. We've talked about being successful. We've talked about a host of things. But let me tell you this. I'm talking to you. You do not have to give up on your relationship just because you don't have all the answers right now. You don't have to abandon hope of getting back together just because things aren't where you need them to be right now. But I will tell you this. Before you get back with that person, I need you to really evaluate the situation. Because if that person is not willing to make the changes and the adjustments and correct the things that they did wrong that led to the breakup, you taking them back is not going to make them change. As a matter of fact, there will be no incentive for them to change. Don't you dare take a person back who is not willing to change or who is not active with making changes so that they can keep you in their life. You deserve the love that you desire, and you deserve a partner who is willing to put in the effort. Again, if you take that person back and they're refusing to acknowledge the things that they've done wrong, or they're refusing to acknowledge how important coming back into the relationship is with some changes being made, then you're going to get the same version of the person that left. And you will be stuck with that version, and you probably will not have a successful outcome. And I want more for you than that. You should want more for yourself than that, right? So just make sure that you are, as well as you yourself, you need to be making some changes as well. It shouldn't all be on the other person to make all of the other changes just because they may want or they've initiated the conversation to get back together with you. The onus is not always on the other person. You have to do your part, play your part, and you have to show up and be active in your efforts and be intentional in your efforts in making this thing work. Don't you want this thing to work? Don't you want it to work this time around? Well, I'm telling you what you got to do. And this was very important. I saw this meme, guys. I saw a meme. I've seen it actually a few times. And it says, don't allow loneliness. Some of you heard it before. Don't allow loneliness to drive you back into the arms of a toxic person, relationship. Backslash. That was a backslash symbol. And so I want to just throw that out there to someone. And I know that you could be hurting right now. I know that you miss them. I know that this has been very, very hard for you. You miss them dearly. And your heart is just so open and full with love. And you're just wanting just to fix things instantaneously because you miss them so much. You've cried yourself to sleep. Your appetite has changed. You know, you're walking on the lines, the borderline of depression. You're grieving the way things was. You miss them so much. But let me tell you this. Don't allow being lonely. Don't allow going to bed by yourself drive you back into the arms of somebody who's not good for you or who's not ready to make those changes. And I'm not saying that they're not capable of change, because I believe that with God, all things are possible and nobody is past the point of redemption in the eyes of God. However, you can prematurely take someone back before they're ready to acknowledge their errors and before they begin working on themselves and their issues. And then you just invite more trouble back into your life, and the relationship can further deteriorate than what it was before. If you prematurely get back with them before things can be hammered out and hashed out just on the basis of, I miss him. I know you miss him. And it's probably one of those relationships where, you know what, the two of you can make it work this time around. It's probably one of those things where, you know what, you yourself can acknowledge you can acknowledge some things that you could have handled a little bit different, some conversations where you could have not said a few things, or maybe you should have spoken up for yourself, or some conversations that maybe, you know what, you should have had them after you prayed about it, right? You can trace and you can pinpoint some things that you can change on your end, and so you're ready. You're ready. You're ready to put in the work. You're ready to get back with your boo. You're ready to, hey, we can do this. We can conquer the world. But understand, it's a joint effort. That's what I'm trying to convey to you. It is a joint effort. It is absolutely necessary to make sure that the person that you're wanting to reconnect with is on the same page as you. Are they as committed to making the relationship work this time around as you are? Are they going to match your energy? Because, you know, that's what the kids say nowadays. You know, I'm going to match your vibe. I'm going to match your energy. Can they do that for you? Or will they come back into it, and as soon as things get a little bit rough, as you attempt to iron out your differences, they're ready to hit the door again? Because remember, I did talk about that earlier, being that now that you two have broken up, you don't want that to be your automatic go-to space when things get a little bit rocky. So you need to make sure that they understand that this is a process. This is not an overnight fix. It will not even be fixed in a day or a week possibly. We have to both be committed to the process and making it through this journey so we can come out on the other side of things successful, happy, you know, we've reconciled, things are good, and we can be a testimony to someone else or another couple if the need should arise. We have a testimony. You understand how big this can be. And just let me tell you, let me just say this right here. Listen to me. If you was in a relationship and God was not a part of that relationship, number one, that was your first problem right there. Don't you dare go back into that relationship without bringing God with you or making sure he's there with you when you get there. You understand that? Don't repeat something that didn't work for you before. Don't sign up for that. If God was not an active part of your relationship, along with prayer and supplication, then you need to fix that. You definitely need to fix that. That is something that you cannot repeat again. Your heart can't take it this time. If you go back into this relationship without God and talking to God and getting God's backing and blessing on this thing, you are setting yourself up for the heartbreak of a lifetime. So do things different. Take God with you. And let me just say this. If you was a couple that despite your best efforts and you did pray together, God was absolutely a part of your relationship and things fell apart, I tell you what, now is the time. Step up your game. Take it to the next level. If he was there before, he needs to be there 3 times more this time around, because maybe you weren't prayerful enough. Maybe you weren't engaging enough. And sometimes, you know, we're all imperfect. We're all flawed. You know, we all have, you know, moments of imperfection that are intentional as well as unintentional. But I'm just saying to you, if you're one of these couples where, you know what, Diva, you know what, that was never my issue. You know, we pray together, we worship together, we go to church together, we read our Bibles together. That wasn't the issue. Okay, fine. God bless you. You are, an absolute treasure. I'm just saying this next time around, since you were already doing it, do it more. Do it more. Invest more time into studying the Word of God together. Invest more time into praying together. Invest more time into consulting God. And definitely start talking to God before you get into these heated discussions that could lead to further breakups. You don't want that. Remember, at the onset of the conversation tonight, I said you need to be committed to the success of the relationship this time around. It is so vitally important that you understand it, that you get it, and that you make that your plan of action this time around, because you've had time to reflect. You understand the value of this relationship. You understand now that you are still in love with this person and you've had some time to see what life is without this person. And now you're saying, you know what? I don't want that. I don't want that. I want to experience life with the person that I'm in love with. And I'm saying to you, you can absolutely have it. I'm saying you can have it, but I'm saying you must do the work. And you must not have unrealistic expectations going in to this thing. And let's just go back. Let's rewind the tape just a little bit. So the title of tonight's discussion is, why should I take you back? Which is an indication that there's been a breakup. The two of you have disconnected, unplugged, you're no longer together, you broke up, I'm assuming, had some words. Let me tell you this, when you ask that question, or if that question is asked of you, if they don't come with the right answer, don't you go back into it until they give you the right one, or they have the right motives and intentions for coming back to you. Sometimes it takes more than one conversation for a person to get it, for it to click. It may not click with that first. Well, why should I take you back? Because I miss you. Because I miss you, baby. Well, that may not be good enough. Because missing you, that can be fixed within seeing you a couple of times, and they could bounce right out the door again. You need to understand there needs to be a reason of substance as to why they want to make the relationship a go at it this next time around. Don't short sell yourself. Make them step up to the plate. Make them step up to the plate. Why should I take you back? They need to have reasons as to why they want to come back. Why do you want to reunite? Because if the reasons that you're giving me as to the reasons that you want to reunite, those weren't reasons enough to keep us together. Right? So if those weren't good enough reasons to keep us from breaking up, why would they be good enough reasons for you to come back and then it happening all over again? See, we want to stop that. We don't want that to happen. That's why I'm telling you, make sure that the reason is a good reason as to why they want to come back. And make sure that you've thought about this thing as well. Make sure that it fits where you're wanting to go with the relationship. Make sure it fits where you are wanting to go in the relationship. It needs to fit. It needs to fit. You know, you need to have a plan. You need to have a purpose. You know, for those of you who may have broken up, and I'm just throwing this out there because I don't know. New year, new beginnings, new perspective. Listen, maybe this is for somebody out there. Maybe the two of you have been together for a while and one of you is pushing, I want to get married, and the other person is not wanting, or they were not receiving the idea of marriage or marriage to you very well. Before you get back with them, you need to make sure, number one, that they are willing to give you that commitment. And if they are not, you have to be okay with either living your life as not being married to them or allowing them to walk away permanently, and eventually finding someone who will love you enough to marry you. If that specific scenario speaks to your situation, you have a serious conversation on your hand. If marriage was the deal breaker that allowed you two to walk away from one another, don't dare get back into that relationship unless marriage is absolutely on the table. Because what you have to understand is marriage is not for everyone. And just because you want it doesn't mean that that's something that they authentically want. And it doesn't mean that they're a bad person. It's not to vilify them. But everybody's not marriage material. You need to know that. Everybody's not marriage material. You may not even be marriage material. The person that you're wanting the marriage commitment from may not even see you as marriage material. So if that specific scenario speaks to your situation, you need to really have a conversation about that. don't go back into it, allowing yourself to settle. Do not go back into it, hoping and wishing that you'll get it when you've never had the conversation. And don't go back into it without knowing that your partner has a desire to spend the rest of their life with you. You need to have the conversation. Remember, again, why should I take you back? Why? Why should I take you back? Are you hoping for a successful round 2? Are we committed to making this thing work this time? Are we going to do some things different? Are we committed to really pouring ourselves in the best version of ourselves into this relationship so that both of us can be happy and get what we came here for? Right? Okay. And I talked about considering, making sure you revisit and consider how they left and why they left. If the split was not amicable, if the both of you didn't sit down and talk about breaking up or separating for a time period, or we need a break, if one person walked out of the relationship, you better make sure that you dot your I's and cross your T's and do your homework before you let this person back into your life, making sure that you have left no stone unturned regarding their agenda. Did they leave you for somebody else? Did they leave you because for some God forbidden reason and things just didn't work out? And so now what? You're the fallback person? You need to figure those things out. And you need to be okay with the answers that you get, and you need to make sure that the answers are truthful, that there's being honesty served to you in this conversation. And the diva also talked about in tonight's show that you need to be intentional when you go back. You need to have a plan. And even if your plan only includes not repeating past mistakes, not allowing the relationship to fail, being intentional with being happy and making it a success, if that's your only plan, you, my friend, already have a plan. And that is the first step that you have taken towards your future with the person that you love. And now you are attempting to reconnect with. It has been my pleasure to discuss tonight's show with you face to face. As I mentioned, I did the show last night on my podcast, and it just seemed like time just flew by. It just flies by. But I just want to encourage someone out there that just because things fell by the wayside does not mean you cannot have a beautiful ending. And you need to rely on your faith. You need to focus on the areas of improvement and make those improvements. It starts with self. And then you need to make sure that the person that you are now revisiting, spending the rest of your life with, or re-entering the relationship with, make sure they are as committed to you and the relationship and the success of it as you are to the relationship and to that person. Have the needed and necessary conversation and understand that nothing is going to fix itself overnight. It's not instant. It's not going to happen. It's a work in progress, but the both of you need to be committed to coming out on the other side of it, victorious, and with your testimony. It can be done, okay? So, until the next time, guys, remember, every second and fourth Friday, Meet the Diva right back here. DivaSpeaks Relationships Talk Show airs at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And in the meantime, you can always visit my podcast. My podcast is available to you on every podcasting platform imaginable. Just type in DivaSpeaks where you get your podcast from, And there I am, DivaSpeaks Relationships. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Make sure you continue with me on this journey. This is episode number 3 of DivaSpeaks Relationship Talk Show. I'm so super excited. I can't wait for the next show. I'm not going to tell you what it's about because I want you to come back. So until the next time, the second and fourth Friday, once again at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join me right back here. The Diva has spoken. Good night, my friends.
Thank you for tuning in and watching tonight's episode entitled, Why Should I Take You Back? If you enjoyed tonight's episode, be sure to meet us back here every second and fourth Friday at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also, be sure to check out DivaSpeaks Relationship Podcast, available wherever you listen to podcasts. Now the Diva has spoken.
DivaSpeaks Podcast is the premier relationship podcast that explicitly deals with relationship matters from a woman's point of view. No subject is off limits. Relationship challenges, sex, intimacy, dating, infidelity, finances, heartbreak, and situationships are all a part of the discussion. Your relationship matters.